Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for choosing to watch my videos. If you're new here today, my name is Betty and welcome on board. For all the returning subscribers, guys, you asked I need to start bringing guests like we used to. You know, but your wish is my command. So today I'm bringing in on a guest, guys, and yeah, you're gonna hear real stories from real people, the challenges that people go through when you win green card. God can open a way for you, but then the devil can come in different ways trying to block your blessing. But guess what? When God decide you are landing in America, uh, even if the devil tries to bring a lot of challenges in the way, God always makes sure that you land here. Ni kwa baraka ya Mungu. So today we'll be hearing from our guest and hear the story, how he got his green card, and then what happened after that, and the challenges he faced before landing to this country. So let me bring him on board and he can say hi to you guys and introduce himself. Karibu, karibu, our guest.
Asante sana. Thank you very much, Betty AZ, and it's a pleasure to be here and I'm honored to be in your channel. Nakufollow sana, and I always follow your stories and your updates. It's a real pleasure to be here. My name is Joe.
Okay, Joe, you can tell us, where do you come from? You sound like an American. Are you born and raised here?
Oh man, no. I'm proudly Kenyan. I come from Nairobi, Kenya. I grew up in Kayole. Mm-hmm. I can say born, bred, been in Kayole, Nairobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you come from a very humble background.
Very, very humble, very humble. East Lando, watu wa 1960, they understand the life over there, but it's a blessing. Through God's grace, we are here today, and we hope that our stories will impact your audience as well, and my audience as well.
Yeah, and that is the whole reason we do these videos. Back in the day, people used to hide information. You remember when we used to ask people, "Hey, how did you go to the US?" And they would say nothing.
Yeah, it was like going to the US was like working for the CIA, top secret agenda. But right now, because of the digital transformation that we have, you can find information anywhere. And if we were able to go through the process, why not share this information to other people? Hakuna kitu tuna lose. It's all free information.
Yeah, and they say people, when they lack knowledge and information, we cannot just sit here and see people suffer because of lack of this information. So what we do is we just give out the information and people get the knowledge, and then do something after this. Do something about it. You don't have to just sit there and wait for somebody to do everything for you. So when we say about green card, we give the information, then you do something with that information, right?
Faith without action is nothing. So yeah, definitely knowing the information and making the move to act on the information is something else. Hata mimi, I receive so many questions, and most of the questions people ask me are things that for them, they just need to take the initiative. It's like the basic stuff that you need if you're looking to travel to the US or any other country. Number one, just get a passport, start looking for the different visas. So by the time you're even asking for more help, you've made the prerequisite steps to get you there. So yes, information we will share, but it's up to the audience to take that information and definitely put it into action. And that's basically what I did. Coming from Kayole, I was fortunate enough to go to school, better schools. So through that exposure, I was interested in America. I wanted to know how. So your information too, I use it, gather it, and I followed through. And I'm sure the reason we are here today is because you watched my story, the way I shared it. And it's just you have to be consistent and be persistent in the pursuit of your own dreams or plans or goals.
Yeah, and Joe, the reason I brought you here today is because I watched your video
Mhm.
when you talked about how you won green card and how excited you were, and then the challenges you went through. Kindly share with my fans here and tell them how did it start, how it start when I mean how it started. When did you win your green card?
Well, I got selected in May 2019. Shortly, that was at least 1.5 years after I graduated college. I was in between jobs. Ile to hustle in Nairobi.
Yeah,
So when I got selected in 2019, I was actually selling homes at Green Park Estate in Athi River, and my
yeah.
contract was almost coming to an end.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept it under the wraps. Sikuambia mtu, it was all a secret. And then the whole of 2019, there was minimal or no communication until around November. I mean, October maybe of 2019 is when I started now exchanging this information with Kentucky Consular Center. Fast
Mm-hmm.
forward, unfortunately, in 2020, COVID came, or the end of 2019, COVID came. So I was scheduled to go for my first interview in March of 2020.
Yeah.
But at around January, it was cancelled. So the first time I was selected and going through the process, there was no much fanfare because as I was beginning the process and I had been invited for the medical checkup, I went for my first medical checkup. I was invited for the interview. This process only my mom and one of my aunties knew. So hapo nothing much happened because of COVID.
Yeah.
So the whole of 2020, after the embassies were closed, I went to OCHA. My contract ended. I was jobless, so it was a hassle. Life, I really went from grace to grass. Like I was very humbled through that 2020. Fortunately, at around, I believe it was in June, the embassies were reopened, the borders were reopened in America, and they sent emails we should start the process again.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the real gameplay started, because when there's a lot of pressure from both ends, me, I want to leave. I want to leave Kayole. I really want to travel to the States. The
Mm-hmm.
process already, I had to repeat these medicals because you understand medicals are only valid for 6 months.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money involved. But the main challenges started coming in after I got the visa,
Mm-hmm.
because my auntie, one of my cousins, actually has been in the US for a very long time. I've met
Mm-hmm.
him once. So he was the one who was supposed to host me. And actually, I'm grateful to him because before I got the visa, but when I went to the interview, I used him as my host. I had an affidavit from him. So up to that point, the people that were involved were very supportive.
Yeah.
But when I got the visa, now challenges started coming in. And most of the challenges that I went through and how God came through for me, and I said this to myself because it's a miracle, it's the host problem. There were conflicts of interest between my relatives who are supposed to host me and my mom. There were a lot of family issues, maybe to say the least.
Yeah.
So the first situation came when we were trying to get a plane ticket now to the US. After I got my visa on the 30th of September, the last day, because all the interviews are supposed to end on the 30th of September. So
Yeah.
that was the last day. Maybe to take you a little bit before I got the visa and how this process was.
Mm-hmm.
Getting my visa was actually another miracle, because when
Yeah.
they told us that now we've been invited to start the process again, ideally before you go to IOM to do your medical, you need another invitation to go for another interview. So to IOM, you show them the invitation. I have this invitation to the embassy, so I'm here for my medical. So I'd been emailing Nairobi embassy to and fro. still do not have my invitation. How do I do my medical? And that time so many people, they're trying to process so many visas. So
Yeah.
communication was a little bit problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a week or less to the expiry date of 30th, I get a call from Nairobi Embassy, and they ask me, Joseph, have you done your medical? Because your case number is current, but we can't see your results, medical results. I said, no, I haven't done my medical because I've been waiting on this invitation to go to IOM.
Yeah.
And the lady was like, unfortunately, I'm sorry. You try next time. It's too late now.
Wow.
Imagine, after waiting for all that time, she was like, "No, it's too late. If you don't have your medical at this point." It was on a Friday when she called me, and 30th was the Wednesday coming next week on Wednesday. So she was like, "There's no way you're going to do your medical now and be scheduled for an interview within less than a week." She was
Oh
like,
my God.
"Unfortunately, try next time. I'm sorry," and she hung
Oh,
up.
what something that you don't want to hear when you when you win, you're so excited. And by the way, let me go take you back a little bit. You won after how many times? How many times did you try to apply before you were selected?
I would say if I followed the real instructions and steps to apply, that was
Mm.
my first time to really apply and get it. I had applied
Oh.
before though. I had applied in 2016. I had applied in 2017, but I don't count those 2 times because I know clearly what I did the first 2 times versus what I did the third time is
Mhm.
totally different. I did not follow the instructions the first 2 times. I did not attach the photo that they require with the correct measurements. I
Yeah.
did not attach the certificates or like birth certificates. I did not just follow the process. And I keep on telling my audience that the green card application, the
Mhm.
first step that disqualifies so many people that you're not even selected is just following instructions, because selection is not people looking at your profile, it's computer based. So
Yeah.
if there's something you've not done right, the computer will disqualify you automatically. But in 2018, I followed the instructions to the letter. So I count that as the only time I really actually did something right and I was selected.
Oh, okay. It's good, now you can tell people do the right thing, follow the instructions, and you win. So, okay, now tell us, after that, after she told you that it's too late, what happened?
Oh man, I was in Kayole on a balcony. I had like a bed sitter. And man, when she was calling me, actually, that time was really, I was depressed. I was just, no, when I got that call, I was on the balcony just looking at outside, just thinking of what to do. And I remember I was telling God, man, say, God, me ntole to form. Just come through for me.
Yeah.
This green card thing is the only thing I have. Like, I
Yeah.
don't even have any other hope. Like, if you don't remove me from this situation in Kayole, I don't know about my future. So
Hmm.
when she calls me, I was like, and she hung up. I tried calling back. The number did not go through. You
Hmm.
know,
Oh,
yeah, the number did not go through. And that was the only time actually I received a call from the embassy. And previously, the same number that is on the website had been trying to call, it was not going through. So I think it's the one that they have a computerized system where you can't just get hold of anyone.
yeah.
Man, I remember I just like momentarily, it's
You
like I
crashed.
fainted, I crashed and I fell down. And I was like, why God? But at that point, I just got this kind of strength and courage. I don't know, like, I said, no, it's not over until it's over. There's no way
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this thing for
Yeah.
this long, and you tell me it's over. So I got up, dusted myself, went to my room, took a shower, changed. On my room, I had this duffel bag that had all my certificates and documents. Like I was prepared for this thing that she's telling me it's over.
Yeah.
So I take my duffel bag. Luckily, as long as I was broke in Kayole, and I keep again on telling my audience, be prepared. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You
Yeah.
cannot be financially not prepared and expect sometimes things to go well with you. So I had some money set aside. Just when I'm told this is the green light to go, I can
You
be
go.
able to go.
Yeah.
So nikashuka chini, I took a motorbike, rushed to the embassy with my documents. I'm in a jeans, a jacket, and a t-shirt. And I'm there at the gate. I'm like, no, I need to be scheduled. I tried to speak to the askaris, the soldiers at the gate. And they were like, no, my friend, if you don't have an invitation, hapa hawingi.
You took yourself to the embassy
I,
without an invite. Oh my God.
without somebody telling me, because now, what do you mean? We've been we've been through this process for a while, and
Yeah.
right now you're just going to tell me unofficially, not even through email, that I've already spent money on this process, and you're telling
Yeah.
me jaribu next time, and next time is
Yeah.
not assured. Once you win once, you're not
Yeah.
assured to win 10.
Uh-huh.
So he said no. I was not able to go inside the embassy. The askari said you can't go in. I went to IOM. Between the embassy and the IOM, maybe it's a 10, 15 minutes walk. I went to IOM and I tried to gain entry. I was like, I just need to do my medical checkup because that's what holding me from getting an interview. And they said, no, if you don't have an invitation, you can't enter IOM as well.
Yeah.
So that Friday, I was crushed. Me again on Monday, same process. The only difference, this time I was in a suit, I was in a tie, I looked very crispy. And at 4 a.m., I was there. I woke up at 3 a.m. in Kayole again.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
At 4 a.m., I am there. When all those bosses and all those officials are coming in, they found me at the gate. All that time, the Askaris now, we know each other. We are talking, and I'm like, me, I just want to be invited for an
Yeah.
interview. I'm not even asking for a visa. Just give me the chance to explain myself. So on
Uh-huh.
Monday, that back and forth, I'm between that point and IOM. I'm returning to the embassy, but at the same time, I'm also sending emails and trying to call. But the emails really saved me a lot, and maybe I'll come back to that and maybe just try to educate our audience as you partake an important venture, be it visa, be it business. Make sure documentation is very important.
Yeah.
Document the process, like have proof of what you're talking about. So all this time I'm sending numerous emails, so many emails. Long story short, on Monday again, no entry for me. But what I have achieved, they've seen me and I've been able to send so many emails, but I'm very sad. On Tuesday again, remember 30th is on Wednesday. Now on Tuesday, something miraculous happened. I go to IOM, I find a different guard from the one who was there on Friday and Monday. And since I was new to him, I said, I just want to have my medical checkup because I have an interview tomorrow. So for him, I did not tell him I don't have invitation, all these stories. I gave him the invitation that I had from last year for 2020 before COVID was canceled.
Oh my God.
Yeah, before COVID was cancelled, I told him, you know what, I had this invitation for last year and COVID came. I was not able to go for my interview. And at the moment, I don't have any other invitation. So I want to be interviewed using this invitation. Can I get my medical checkup? I'm like, I don't think, if you don't have a current invitation for this year, I don't
Yeah.
think this will happen for this period.
Yeah, these people wanted to finish you completely.
But I was persistent, and I thank God because He gave me the courage, gave me the strength, and the persistence just not to give up. But this soldier was very understanding. I think he saw that was beyond his saying yes or no, like his decision. And he asked me one quick question, or do you want to speak to the doctor? Maybe explain to the doctor your situation. I said, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I want to speak to the doctor.
Uh-huh.
So all that time we're having this conversation, it's outside the gate at IOM.
Yeah.
And then as you approach the gate, there's like a small office where the guards rest. And we walk in there. He gives me the phone and he dials and gives me the phone. So I speak to the doctor who I've never met, I've never seen. It's a lady. And I try to explain, I'm here for a medical checkup. The medical checkup is for green card process. The green card process expires tomorrow on the 30th. I need to do my interview either today or tomorrow. The doctor was like, okay, I see your point, but do you have an invitation? I'm like, I have been trying to get this invitation for weeks since they contacted us. I don't have the invitation. Maybe it's because they are loaded. There are so many people right now because the process was closed, but the process expires tomorrow. So the doctor was like, "You're asking me to do something unorthodox because anyone who goes to IOM has to have an invitation." I said, "I have documents from before COVID. Maybe I can show you those documents." The doctor, basically, she was like, "No, I don't think this will work if you don't have any current." All that time we were on the phone. And then she asked me, "There's no way I can help you. I don't know what you want me to do." And I remember I said in Swahili, "Doc, kwenye imefika saa hii ni kusaidiana tu." Like,
Yeah.
I just, like, now I went on a personal level, nikamwambia, kwenye imefika at this point, where it has gotten to this point, you just help me because I need this.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Okay, let me come over there. I'll be there in a few minutes." So she came. I showed her all my paperwork. I showed her all the communication I've been having with the embassy. And I said, "I'm sure if I have this medical, if I do my medical, perhaps they might let me in, to be interviewed." So she asked me, "Okay, do you have the money for medical?" I said, "Yes, I have the money.
You
Come
had
in."
you are ready.
So, like, it was just favor because when I went in, it was around noon when we were having that conversation on a Tuesday. So when I went in, if you know IOM, there are always people traveling to different destinations around the world. So
Right.
there are people already. If you go to IOM at noon, best believe you won't complete that process. You have to be there like around 6 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Yeah.
But when I went in, she wrote on when you go in, there's a kiosk you press where you go in USA and then you're given a number and then it prints your receipt that you use to go to the counters. She wrote there, expedite, that my
Yeah.
case is urgent. So in every window that I was going and jumping line, leaving people who've been there. People, when I give out my document, I was being told, "You come, you come." So I did not wait for all these people. I I skipped almost everyone, and my process was done in almost 4 hours.
Wow. God is good. Yeah.
Favor, favor. But when I left there, I quickly went to a cyber. There's a cyber just near at Gigiri. There's a petrol station. As you go to the embassy, there's a cyber there. So I went to the cyber, scanned my receipt for IOM and all those results, and sent again to the embassy. Same email, sent again. I said, "Okay, now I have my I have my results. Please give me a chance to be interviewed."
Yeah.
I even showed proof that I've done my medical,
Yeah.
and I've done everything that was required of me. But again, all this story, I think it's important for our audience to understand, and it's what Betty you've mentioned when we were starting, the importance of doing research or maybe taking your own personal initiative.
Yeah.
When I was at the cyber, and even before the cyber, I had extensively gone through the website travel.state.gov. That's the website that you can find information on all the type of visas. And particular for green card, I had delved and dug deep into all the information I could find on that website. So there was an email where I found an email about an emergency visa, where if, for instance, you are in a crisis,
Yeah.
an emergency visa interview, you could use that email. So I said, "You know what? Let me request an emergency visa because I have less than 24 hours."
Oh my God. You are so determined. I like that about you.
Yeah, man, I think when you don't have another option, you see, most viewers or our audience, and I've come to learn this since I started sharing my stories. Some people, yes, they want to come to the US, but somehow they are comfortable in Kenya in one way or another. There are some
Yeah.
people who it's not a much of a priority to them. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it would be a good thing if I went to the US, but it's not a must. For
But for you,
me,
you did put effort for sure. I can tell. You never gave up.
it's all I had. I was like, every day I was waking up in Kayole. I'm like, man, this is not the life I was
I
thinking.
should be waking up in somewhere in DC.
I should be waking up in DC. And since I was young, I always wanted to go to the
Yeah.
States. I just, when I was watching movies, I was like, one day I will be in that street, Philadelphia Avenue. I wanted to be in America.
You even knew the avenues. I see people telling me. I see people telling me, Betty. Now you make us. We've known Arizona because of you. All the streets they have known the towns, and they
Yeah,
tell them keep the faith, never give
yeah.
up. You see?
And those people who are keen on what you're telling them, those are people who are actually interested and
Yeah,
want to know about the streets and how they are called. Those are people who they'll find themselves in America in one way or another, because imagination is more powerful than knowledge. You can only get as far as your imagination can take you. If you
yeah,
imagine to be in America, that's where you'll be. If you imagine to get married or go to college or start a business, you only achieve the things that you imagine about. So for
yeah.
them, good luck for them. But for me, I didn't want to be in Kayole. I didn't want to be in Kenya because I have a bachelor's and I don't have jobs. For Kenya, so unajua vile iko tu, there are no
Yeah,
jobs.
you have a degree, but it's not even helping you.
It's not even helping you. I had started like a small biashara. I was selling smoky and mayai outside the plot there. Imagine with a whole, and my mom was like, hiyo pesa yote ya university, unauza smoky na mayai hapa hivi, na tu
Oh.
electronics. And viatu za 200 hapo za wasichana. That's what I was doing, like to pass time.
Kwani na labda ulikuwa customer wangu. You know me, I used to sell nilikuwa nauza viatu Kamkunji, but
Uh-huh.
me nilikuwa nauza na wholesale. Maybe
Labda
you
nilikuwa
are,
nakujia kwako.
yeah, I used to
Because I
be
used
in
to go to
Kamkunji selling.
Kamukunji. Yeah. I used to go to Kamukunji to get my merchandise.
Maybe you are my customer. You never know. I was in a building called Wabeni House, and I
I can
was
see your Benny house.
yes, I had a shop there
Niko
called Betty Shop.
oh man, je watu wametoka mbali. You've definitely hustled. Wewe, you were playing on the big leagues. Kamukunji, that's where the money is. Us
Yes, I
now.
was in Kamkunji, and my shop was somewhere at the corner. I was selling some ladies' shoes. My shop was really big. I was even going to China for shopping. Yeah, what are you
Oh
talking
man,
about?
that now was my actually, if my dream to come to the US did not materialize at the time, my vision was, if this does not happen, the electronics that I was selling were actually making me some good money. Sometimes in a day, I would make 1,500. And in Kayole, if you can make 1,000 in a day, you're fine. That's
That's
good.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good money. So I had plans to expand now. And my shop was an extension in a plot. Now you extend with Kibanda, with Mbao. And I had placed some to electronics on a wood. And I had the trolley for Smoky and Mayai. And then
Oh,
I have to shoes arranged on the side. So my dream was I will migrate. By the time that they came to the US, I had savings from that small business of around 12,000 savings.
wow.
Yeah, so my plan was I will now go to a real shop and have
And good.
a room, and then now
But God had,
I'll start
yeah.
going to maybe China and all that. But God had other plans.
So did you get invited to the embassy? What happened? You can, because I know it's a long story. We want to make it short. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I did not get invited on that day. What happened? I sent an email after I left IOM for my medical. First
Yeah.
of all, I sent the normal Nairobi embassy email saying I have done my medical. Number two, I went to the emergency visa website, checked the email, again sent another email. Now, I went all the way back. All the emails I had sent since when they re-invited us to start the process again after COVID.
Oh.
When I started requesting for invitation or more documents to go to IOM with, and my emails were not being responded. Sometimes they were being responded and they would say something like, we are working on it or we will send it to you. So I printed, like literally printed all those emails and then scanned them back.
Oh my God.
Scanned myself all those emails, and then now I attached on this emergency visa interview, I attached all those emails I've been sending. And that's why momentarily I mentioned about documentation. I attached all these emails and I said, I have done everything I've been asked of. I've been asked of. This is proof to show that I've been trying to contact Nairobi embassy and they've not been responding to my emails. It's
Yeah.
not not an oversight on my side. That's
Yeah.
an oversight on someone else. It's unfair if someone follows due diligence or does everything they're asked of and then tell them it's unfortunate. You know, if I was lacking something, then that would be a different story. And I said, all I need is a chance to be interviewed. Don't cancel me out right now when I'm already here and I'm not lacking any document. So basically, my cry for help was, give me a chance to be interviewed. And maybe to my audience and your audience, take
Yeah.
everything step by step. There are people who are already looking for a host and they've not even been selected. There are
Yeah.
people who are already thinking of interview and they have not maybe verified their birth certificate. So for me, it was like, I just want to get in and talk to someone, and then now we can agree or disagree. But on that email, I requested just to be heard. And I went home on Tuesday. I did not even get a reply. I just went home on Tuesday. On Wednesday again, 4 a.m. I wake up, again,
Yeah.
same routine. Now, before I left IOM, the doctor that allowed me in, after my checkup and everything, I saw her standing somewhere and I went to her and was like, hey, thank you for allowing me to do my medical. At least I have my medical. I hope they will allow me. What do you think I should do? And she said, normally, these results will be at the embassy tomorrow by noon.
Yeah.
No, Wednesday by noon at the earliest opportunity. But for you, what you've been doing, because I had told her what had been doing, going to the embassy. She said, you just do your thing. Again, go to the embassy, but tell them you've done your medical. There's a way they can check to see if you've been at IOM. So you just tell them you've done your medical.
How much was the medical?
Medical was around 40 to 43K. It's usually in dollars. So I would say around $400.
So if they are in a family of 5, so that is 40,000 times 5. You see, guys, it's an expensive process. It's free to apply, but it's an expensive process. So you need to have your finances together because this process is not cheap. So finally, now after all that, were you finally invited?
On Wednesday, when I woke up early in the morning again, the guards did not want to see me there. I was not invited. But what I did not do on Wednesday, I did not check my email. I did not even have time. That day was, I'll be there. I was just praying. I did not check my email. I was just going to IOM and asking them, hey, Mumetuma, have you sent the results? Because I've been at the embassy. If they've
My
not
God. I didn't yeah.
yeah, I went.
Bad
I
for
was
you.
literally like, that was a do or die for me. And I remember telling God, I don't, sina ujanja ingine. Like, if today I go home without a visa, today on Wednesday I go home without a visa, I don't know what else I will do. Like, I literally did not see anything past my life past that Wednesday. So the guard at the IOM was already sick of me. He was like, bro, I've been telling you they will send them. And if they don't, they will communicate to the embassy. Please don't come back here. So on the third time I'm going back to the embassy, I arrived there and it's like the gates of heaven were opened for me. When I arrived, because I was in the same suit for all those 3 days, same suit, just maybe a different shirt, but I was in the same gray suit. So they already knew me. When they see me coming, they know who this guy is. So I go to the embassy and these guards, all of a sudden, it's like they've changed. They're like, oh man, where have you been? They've been looking for you. Hey, Maramoja. They're like, where have you been? They've been looking for you. Well, they even tried to call you because me, at that point, I was so blinded and focused on this process. If it's a new number, I'm not picking it. If it's someone who's trying to give me stories that are not concerned about going to America, I did not want to talk to anybody. So they had called me with a number that I didn't have, and I did not pick. So they said, they've been looking for you. They even called you. Haukuchukua simu. Where have you been? And they've been looking for you. That was 2 hours ago when they were looking. And me, I'm at IOM now requesting them to send my medical.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
said, for real? I check my phone and then I go to my email, the email that I sent the previous day.
Mm-hmm.
Thing, the person, because I sent that email and copied Nairobi embassy,
Yeah.
and it was responded, and the person said, please assist this client.
Yeah.
I think they saw my point of view, and so this guy has really been trying. So they
Yeah.
responded and copied me. They responded to Nairobi embassy and copied me and said, please assist this client.
Mm-hmm.
So I checked my phone, there are missed calls, and they opened the gates, but I felt as if now, imagine now I'm entering the embassy that
The US. Huh?
the US embassy. I go to
Uh-huh.
the second gate. There's a main gate and there's a second gate where you leave your belongings. They check you
Yeah.
out. And now there's a waiting area. On the waiting area, first you're given a piece of paper for like your number, which they will use to call you. And I find other people there who are being interviewed for different things. And now I'm all tensed up. I'm like, damn, I've been working so hard for this. What do I say?
Mm.
So, but I just prayed, went in there, paid my interview fees. And when I was paying, one of the representatives, sorry, asked me, told me, pain is not an assurance for interview.
Yeah.
Being interviewed and paying is non-refundable fee. And I said, that's okay, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And she checked my documents, just to make sure I have everything. And then now I was interviewed by a US consular official.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically the interview was smooth. It was just, and for our audience who've been wondering about interviews, your what the U.S. consul or your interviewer is looking at is the DS-260.
Yeah.
Everything, there's nothing out of the ordinary. If you said whatever you filled in your DS-260, that's what you will be asked for. If you start changing stories or saying other things that do not relate to what you said previously, maybe those are the concerns that you'll have to clarify, of course, with some form of documentation to show there were changes. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I did not add or subtract anything
Anything.
from the DS-260. I said and stuck to the script. At the end, now, once you're interviewed, you're either given, there are usually three papers. Either accepted, you have a visa, denied, you don't have a visa, or waiting for something. I forget about the colors, but they're usually in colors.
Mm-hmm.
So the US consular told me, unfortunately, I have to give you this. This shows that your interview has not yet been approved. It's waiting for an administrative uh, something processing. It's because we don't have your medical results yet. And at the time I'm being interviewed, it's almost 1 p.m. ish or almost 2.
Mm-hmm.
And but she was like, all the medical results will be sent to us by close of business. So what you can do, just check online, maybe at around 4:30. Just check online and see if your visa has been issued. There's a way you can check on the website.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, unfortunately, I will. So if you get your visa right away, you're given that document that shows you've gotten your visa. And then for me, I was given the one for waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was contented. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be interviewed. Now, if you
Yeah.
you see any discrepancies, that at least my heart will be at peace.
Yeah.
I was interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Betty, I walked from Gigiri to town.
Well,
Not because I did not have money, just to think,
joy.
just to enjoy, to thank God. The moment she said that, I did not even ask so many questions. Oh, why? No. I just said, okay, thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for giving me a chance to be interviewed.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
good.
and when I said that, I was at peace because I knew I had done my best, I had done my job. Now it was up to God to decide. So
And
I
then
walked.
you found later you found out after the same day or after that day you found out you it has been
Oh,
approved.
same day. I just walked very slowly all the way to town. By the time I get to town, it's almost 1 hour since my interview. I go to a
Wow.
kibanda, I buy fruits, and I'm just eating to fruits pole pole, waiting for around 4. I left the embassy at around 2:30. So by the time I'm done with my lunch, I go to my phone.
Mm-hmm.
You enter your case number, and I just saw issued. And that's when I
Wow.
knew I was going to America.
You're
Same
like,
day.
yes,
I was
yes.
like, yes.
Now, okay. To cut the whole story short, now you have gotten your visa, you know for sure you are going. Did you have a host? Had you looked for a host?
I had a host as of that day. I had a host. My mom and my auntie were very instrumental in this process before that point. And as much as things did not go well between the three of us, but eventually, I
Mhm.
always insist on the fact that sometimes God brings people in your life to teach
Yeah,
you a lesson,
yeah,
cross a certain bridge, and then those people, God only used them for that purpose, and then
yeah.
God uses someone else for something else. I had a host, and that was my distant cousin who's been in the US for a very long time. And when I was being interviewed, I used his affidavit which said he would host me. But now, after I got my visa, later on, around in November, when we were planning to buy my ticket to come to the US, my auntie introduces this issue that the US is very expensive, it's very complicated, and there's no way I can live without having money for a vehicle. So by the time I land to the US, I should be driving.
Yeah.
There's no way I will be staying at her son's house and be using her car, his car, or depending on him for transport.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, on my side, all the savings I had, on my mom's side, we were depleted. We only had money for ticket, and we
And like, who saves money for driving? I mean, that
for a car.
buying a car and buying all that is it shouldn't be anybody's worry when you are, first thing first, take care of the trip and then worry about driving later. And
Exactly. Yeah, and also we were under the impression that I'll be using buses or trains, and she said, no, no, no. Kwenye anakaa hakuna trains. He stays in different areas where there are no buses or trains. So we are wondering how he will be getting by. But previously, the same I had spoken to the same host who had said, "Don't worry. Once you get here, I'll give you a small loan. You'll buy a second-hand car, and then once you get a job, you'll be able to refund me." So that issue we had talked about cars previously, and he had said, "No, don't worry. I'll host you for 6 months. I'll even give you a loan to buy a car, and I'll look for a job for you. And once you're stable enough, utanirudishia hiyo pesa." So I think
so in your case, sorry to cut you, in your case, and from listening to your story, is like you had your host was willing all along, but then the person who was connecting you to this host was the problem here.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And I think it's an issue that arose. I think the person who was connecting me to this host did not believe eventually I have a visa. That's when the
yeah.
problem started. It's
Mhm.
like, I can help you, Betty, and I'm helping you to get an ambassador job with the UN, for example. And I know someone who does the interview, and I'm connecting you to be interviewed to work for the United Nations, a big organization. And me, I'm just doing so that in future
Mm.
you can be saying, "Hey, Joe did this for me," or in future you can, I can remind you I did something for you. But
Mhm.
deep down, I don't believe you'll get the job. So
Yeah,
my hope is that you don't get the job, but you'll be indebted to me because I
I get.
connected.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
That
Mhm.
was the exact situation. I'm telling you, everything changed with my connector the time I got the visa. Number one mistake I did when I got the visa, I went to the house where she lived with my mom. We celebrated. And because we live in Kayole, which is very dangerous, so once you get your visa, you go to DHL and pick your package, a package that contains the yellow envelope, your passport with the visa inside,
Mm.
and the big document says "Welcome to America" theme. So that package is the one that you hand over to DHS,
Mm.
Homeland Security, once you come to America. So I
Mhm.
handed that document to my connector and
Mm.
said, "Hey, because it's at night, I'll come for this document tomorrow." And she was like, "No, no, no. In fact, Kayole is very dangerous. Someone can break into your house and steal and steal your documents.
Yeah.
You should leave these documents here with me until when you start leaving." So now my connector, number one, deep down is not happy with my win, but I don't know. But
Yeah.
secondly, She is now in control of my passport to enter the promised land. And I am under the impression that she is for me, but deep down she's against me. She's plotting on how I will not step my foot in America.
And
So,
never, let me tell you, our viewers, never make
yeah,
that mistake. Never,
never.
never. Do you see? There's this guy. He's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Always, always, always. He works with his. I don't know if you know Ayamara.
Maro, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Actually,
walks. Do you see the bag? He walks always. He walks with his little bag,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that bag, he has his document. And I even asked him. I said, "Why do you always carry this bag?" And he said, "It's because it has my document." He trusts himself with his document. Afadhali alale nazo, knowing I have my passport, not because he doesn't trust the hosts, but
Yeah.
you just don't know. You don't leave your passport like that anywhere. Uh-huh.
A good case in point is most of our viewers or audience who work in the Arab countries. Unasikia story yao, they go there, their passports are confiscated and they're not
Yes.
able to go back home.
Yeah.
So if you're in a position to be in charge of your own passport, honestly, without your passport, there's nothing much you can do. You call the police, they'll ask you for a form of ID. You don't even have a form of ID.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, and even before you take that job, I don't know how. Maybe people they kind of don't know, before you take a job from from the Arab people, you say,
mm-hmm.
on one condition, I have to keep my own passport. You'd
Exactly.
rather walk with it. You'd rather keep it in your bra
Yeah,
or in your pants the whole time, but never, never, never hand it over to somebody. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
So
anyway, and then.
so at this point, she's saying, I need a car. So there's no way we are going because again, it's like she was surprised we have ticket money. You, just picture this. We are not very compared to them as we are struggling. So
Mm,
first of all, she's surprised. These guys were able to afford this process. Okay, number one, they've actually now they have the visa. Now, this connector, that's the only person who has ever seen or heard America in our family. No
mm.
one else. Now I would be the second person. And she was wondering, huyu kijana wa Kayole anaenda America for real sasa. Now we announce, hey, Nyaje, we have money for the ticket. Please help us as we don't know anything about America. Help us just to find a good plane because my mom is worried. She's like, kijana wangu anaweza potea mahali kwa hewa. You know, you might get a plane and go and drop him to Indonesia and never come back. So we were
Yeah.
like, just advise us on which plane is good and
Mhm.
where it lands, where I saw that he can make it to his destination well. So if we had done that thing on our own without telling her and bought the ticket, maybe she wouldn't have introduced this new concept. But when we said we have money for ticket, she said, no, by the time you buy a ticket, you need to have money. You need to give me, not us to have it. We need to give her the money for a car
For the
so
car.
that she can
Oh,
be sure when we come here, we won't be depending on her son.
that's
When she's
crazy.
saying that, we are outside Qatar offices. We are actually just about to go to Qatar Airways to buy the ticket. And I could see, for me, I think because of all the pressure I had been through, my heart was already hard and I was not surprised a lot. And
Yeah.
still at that point, I could not see the betrayal. I could not see that she does not have good plans for us.
Mhm.
But I could see my mom's disappointment and how broken she was. She was like, wewe unajua how much we are struggling to raise this amount of money. Why are you asking me for this money now? And you
Yeah.
know how difficult it is for even us to get to this point. And you could hear her tone, my connector's tone. She was like, no, apana. And now she's speaking in Kikamba. Paiva like there's nowhere you will go. Hakuna mali mtaenda. Kama hakuna hiyo pesa, hakuna mali mtaenda. Now she's now making decisive comments that she's giving us ultimatums. We need this before you go. So basically she's saying, if you don't dance to my tune, I will tell the person who's hosting you not to host you.
Oh my
So,
God.
and I could see like my mom literally almost went to her knees to beg her, and she lowered her tone, and she said, "Sawa tu tutatafuta. We will look for this money. Let us just buy the ticket." So we wanted to kiss her feet so that we can cross that bridge, get the ticket, and then now we will look for money for what? For the vehicle.
And
Okay.
then And then after that, that is when she brought up the story of the host cannot, the person who is hosting you, they're not going to be available on the day you are landing, right?
Oh yeah, that was later on. We buy the ticket, and later on, like now in January, we are about the ticket. I'm about to travel now in 1 month, and she calls me. Now I'm somewhere actually on my way to Mwingi. I was that time on the weekends. I had this seven-seater Sienta doing rounds, carrying passengers, and she
Mm.
calls me and tells me, "Oh, there have been some changes. I wanted to talk to you. Are you in Nairobi? Maybe you can come to my house." I said, "No, no, no. I'm actually on my way to Mwingi." And she said, "Oh, actually, Mr. X in America is traveling and won't be available on that specific date that you guys agreed. So we need to make some changes, some plans." And I said, "What?" So my host, I had his number, but because me, I knew how when people get the number for mtu ako America, how they disturb them. Me, I did not want to disturb him until
Mm-hmm.
it's important. So I had his number, but I never like kept on contacting him. So when I
Yeah.
texted him at that moment, he replied very fast. Hey, I said, "Hey, niaje." I texted him on WhatsApp. And he said, "Oh, poa sana, unaendeleaje, bado nakuja?" I said, "Yes. I heard that you're traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible for you to make arrangements for someone else to pick me up in the airport?" So I caught him off guard before the mother
Yeah.
told him the plan, and
Yeah.
he said, "Oh no, no, we don't have to change any dates. You just come, I'll pick you up." So there's a misconnection there.
Yeah.
So I go back to the Nairobi the same day. I get to Nairobi at around 6 in the evening. I did not even tell my host my connector was going to her house. I go all the way to the leafy suburbs of Nairobi, and I call her. I'm at the gate. She opens for me. I said, "Okay, what's the problem?" She trying to explain. And now I know she's trying to block me. Now
Yeah.
for sure, I know now. There's no
Mm-hmm.
in between. So at the end, I say, "Okay, can I have my documents just in case I have someone else who can host me? Then I can
Yeah.
just be hosted by someone else."
Mm.
She was angry. She gave me my documents. I went, but I did not know that she was that bitter. The following day, the sister to my host calls me now, who lives in Kenya, calls me and she's bitter. "Nani alikuambia uongee na brother yangu bila permission ya mama yangu?" Now, even
What?
when I met my host, we met briefly up January before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we exchanged numbers, and that was the first time I met him. So when we were exchanging numbers, we were in the living room, and the mother was in the kitchen. So the mother did not know I had the number of my host.
Oh, uh-huh.
All that time, they didn't know I had an American number in my phone. So
Yeah.
when they had, because I think when I texted my host, I think now he called the mom to ask what's this I'm hearing about.
Yeah.
So they got really mad that I actually texted him without asking them. And the sister called me the following day, and she was like, "Who told you to talk to my brother without my mom's permission?" In
What?
Yeah, and the person who's telling you that is your relative, eh? And she said, "Wewe na huyo mama yako mtajipanga kwenye mtatoa host.
Hmm.
My brother hata wa host. Wewe na huyo mama yako mtajipanga, tuone hiyo America mtaenda aje." And she lectured me on the phone for almost 30 minutes. And I'm listening. Now it's the following day after I took my documents.
Yeah.
She lectured at me and hung up. I tried to call in my connector. She's not picking up.
Wow,
Now
wow, wow.
I try texting my
Wameharibu yote sasa.
wameharibu.
And
I try
you know that what makes me mad in this case is because just because you contacted your host and they were not the one who are hosting you, you of course you have the right to talk to your host, and when you talk to the host, he has a different version, and then evidently you could tell the ones in Kenya, they are the ones who had an issue, not even the one in America. But of course, because the one in America is their family, of course they had to like team up, and my gosh.
the information they gave the one who's in America. They
Hmm.
told him that I have disrespected. It's like now me, I'm in America now. My sister calls me in Kenya and tells me someone has disrespected and insulted my mom. You see, that
Yeah.
they told him I went to the house, disrespected and insulted. her mom. And
Oh.
actually nikamwonyesha madharau kubwa sana, nikamwambia hata I don't need you, I can find another host. You know, I don't need your hosting.
But ungefanya nini? You wanted your documents, of course, and
Yeah.
there's no way you could look for another host if your documents are still in another. And if,
Yeah.
oh my God,
And the thing
guys,
is,
you see the problems people go through?
it's guts. Like, I think they hated my guts because in that process, after getting my visa, somehow the people I met at the embassy were exchange contacts, nikaingizwa kwa group fulani ya watu wa green card wenye wanakuja hiyo time. So once you start speaking to different people, you realize there are people in that group who are coming to America. They have their visas and they don't have hosts. They are being hosted by not even their family members. Some actually do not even have people to host them. They are coming with their own money. They will come and rent an Airbnb or something. So there were people who had different stories. Now for me, they hated my guts because I said, I don't care. I'm not changing my travel date. I will look for an alternative. So
Wow.
but they told the person who's in America, I've disrespected, I've insulted, I've shown madharau, and all those things. So I tried texting my host, no blue tick, no even gray tick. I'm blocked. I try calling him, I'm blocked by the American number.
Oh no.
Because I was trying to call him to explain the misunderstanding, but he did not even give me a chance to listen to me or ask me what happened. He just listened to, of course, his family, and that's how he blocked me. For me, when I look back, I will default him because he's a man. I will default him on if someone told me someone has
Yeah.
insulted and disrespected my mom, I would want to hear from that person. Do we have
Yeah.
a problem? You know,
Yeah.
I would definitely want to hear from that person. But anyway, long story short, I was really depressed. I stayed biashara nikafunga. I did not open that business for like a month. I stayed in my room, and now it's like 2 weeks to traveling. My travel date still intact. Now I'm wondering, do I insure this ticket? Do I cancel this ticket? But I'm like, well, there's still time. The way I got my visa, I'll still find a host.
Yeah.
When I told my mom of what happened, my mom even did not speak a word. Like the way she was hurt, she did not even comment. She did not even say what happened. No, she just said, okay, sawa, tutajua vile tutafanya. She did not even say bad thing or talk ill. She just kept quiet through the whole time. And she was doing her thing like nothing happened, and I was doing my thing. And now, after 3 to almost 1 month, I started again the hustle of going to Mwingi, to Nairobi with a 7-seater, carrying passengers. Now, my mom was very instrumental in those chama za ushago, chama za wamama. And it was almost, people were campaigning. We had requested the current MCA to help us find someone who's in the US that can host us. The current MCA was outgoing, did not have any interest of vying again. So definitely our pleas or our requests were not taken seriously. But now this coming, the guy who was projected to win, actually he's the current MCA right now at Ushago.
Yeah.
He's a very charismatic guy. Somehow he passed by our town, our small town, and my mom was able to ask him personally, hey, kijana wangu amepata nafasi ya kwenda America. Do you think you can help us find someone who is in America who can host him? And he was actually surprised. He said, someone from this village, from this neighborhood, has a visa already to go to America. You know, it's something like almost a miracle that someone that you are from this neighborhood, a very humble neighborhood, could have those big plans. And he asked, does he have a visa or he's planning to? And my mom was like, he actually has a visa, he has a ticket, we had a host, but not right now we don't have a host. We need someone who can stay with him. And he said, okay, give me 2 days, I'll answer you. After 2 days, his brother lives in Florida. He calls his brother in Florida and he says, hey, there's a young man here who wants a host. Can you host him? And the brother was like, you telling me there's someone in Kenya with a visa and they're still in Kenya? What are they waiting for? Tell them to come. Tell them to
Oh my
come
God.
immediately.
Yeah.
Imagine how I got my second host was just like another miracle because it was, and maybe to our audience, what God has planned for you, you won't even battle for it. You won't even like have to strain so hard. It was one request, and give me 2 days. They give me 2 days. We had another number, a US number, And within the third day, I was speaking to a different man I have never talked to. I don't know, who's not in our family,
A
who does
complete
not,
stranger.
a complete stranger who does not care where I live, where I come from. He was actually so proud of me of having gone through the process. And he was like, "Are you telling me you have a visa and you're still in Kenya? When are you coming? Give me the date so that I can plan to pick you up."
Wow.
Yeah.
And oh my God, your story is crazy. You know how God can make a way where you almost lost hope, everything, even your flying date, you kept the hope, you are kept the faith, and you're like, I'm not canceling my ticket. And wow, in the end, you got a host, and it didn't even take the host did not even question. The host was like, okay, fine, let him come. And that is your host. I mean, the host you got, God bless him, because he came through for you when you really needed. You really He does not understand, but you really needed that uh
Mhm. It does not.
host at the time. Oh my gosh.
I don't think, even right now we talk, and when we talk, I remind him and I tell him, you don't know what you did for me. And he was like, "Hey, my friend, me, I stayed in this country for 6 years before I got that green card. So to hear that you have a green card and you're in Kenya, now that was something that actually surprised me. It's like you don't know what you had, that you are not even supposed to be in Kenya. If someone is in Kenya and they have a visa already and it's a
Mhm.
green card, that's a very big opportunity that nobody should play with." So he was like, me, I know the struggle and I wanted you just to land. And he was very categorical. He said, my family is very different. He's married to a white woman, and he's told me white people sometimes don't understand our culture where you have visitors for long. So he said, I will only host you for 1 month and then
Mm.
you can find your way. He was very open with me and he said, because the more you stay, the more I will have problem maybe with my wife, because of their
Yeah.
culture, they don't have visitors for long.
Mhm.
And again, God came through for me. Within 1 month, I got to the US. The second week, I got all my documents. I started going on Indeed, applying for jobs. My host now connected me to another Kenyan who has a company in Virginia. I was interviewed by someone in Florida. Within the fourth week, I flew to Virginia, and up to this day, I'm in Virginia. Though a different job, but I stayed in my host with my host only for 30 days, and I moved to Virginia and I started my new life. So yeah,
And you did not make it a big, some people, they after they are hosted, they make it a big deal. They start talking bad about the host. They are like, oh, can you imagine, he only asked me to stay for 30 days. People become very ungrateful after all, the sacrifice. Somebody has communicated to you and told you, I can only host you for 30 days. It's very important not to break that promise. If somebody asks you, I can only host you for 2 weeks, it's better them they are hosting you for those 2 weeks than somebody who will not want to host you, like your first host. Obviously they were not willing to to host you even for a day. They didn't even care if you land or you do they even know you landed, do they?
they don't know where I live. They don't know where I landed. They never tried to make any contact. I had now my connector back at home kept on saying, because previously she worked with the Kenya Airports Authority, so
Mm,
she was well versed with the KAA. And
mm.
now I had she was saying, "Oh, I know when he left. I know the plane that he used. I know when he landed. I know because when I traveled, nobody even told them I traveled. So later
Yeah.
on, she was telling people that she knew, but she didn't know nothing. But even my host now, my relative who is in America, he's never try to make any contact, and they don't care. And that shows you the extent to which people can go, to ruin your dreams if they don't wish you well. But to my host who agreed to host me, even if he had told me, I will host you
Mhm,
for 3 days, the
mhm.
most important thing is that at least
Go. I'll finish
you
this. And I always tell people, when you are looking for hosts, because people ask, Betty, where do we get hosts? Where do, as you can see, just a minute. Pink candy. Go give her pink candy.
Mhm.
my viewers here, they understand and they know that I have a kid, so they're okay with my daughter.
Yeah.
uh as I said, people always ask me, Betty, where do we find hosts? You are a true example of, like, asking anywhere, asking from the church, MCA, and anybody that can come through for you. You see, it works because people ask these questions like, how can we get hosts? You see, Joe is telling you, he did not, when the first host, when it did not work with the first host, he did not stop there. He kept looking from different people. Even your mom was asking around, right? From
Right.
church to her chama, from everybody, right?
Pastors, people who lead different organizations, youth leaders, aspiring members of parliament or aspiring politicians, anywhere that anyone, and don't despise people. For instance, if you don't live in big cities and assume people don't know, always there's someone who knows someone. Even
Yeah.
when we were asking that aspiring MCA, we were just passing the message, hoping that he knows someone who is in America. But for him, his own brother was
Mm,
in America. He's in America. So he was like, no, my brother, he's been in America for over 20 years. I'll talk to him. So
mhm.
for people who are looking for someone to host them, they don't have family, they don't know nobody. Start from social media. Sometimes is creepy because just getting someone from social media might be challenging. But
It is
go.
challenging because sometimes I get people ask me, like, if you came to my inbox, and
Mm,
by then you told me, you asked, did you ask me to host you?
no, on your inbox, I was
YouTube?
just commenting on your channel.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
I get people who ask me, and I've had actually two people. They ask, Betty, I have a visa. Can you host me? And I tell them, I say, send me a picture of a visa or something, just to show. Because you can't just tell someone, oh, I'm coming to the US. Can you host me? How do I know? How can I start giving you my address and my information? That's the tricky part. It's when you talk to someone from social media, you might think they are refusing, but it's so hard to trust everybody with your details out there. So you have to prove to them, like, Betty, I have booked my ticket, I have got my visa. Can you host me? Be transparent, right?
Right. Like social media is very tricky. I think with my host, he did not even ask for my visa, he asked for my travel details. I told him I even
Yeah.
details of my flight. And now he was sure this guy actually he's coming to the US. The problem is the host. So and even for my viewers, I tell them, by the time you ask someone for something, have something in business. They ask, do you have a skin for the game? Have something to show you've actually made bigger efforts before you ask for this favor. Now, as you've said, show proof of a visa. Like even before you ask for a host, do you have a visa? Like someone would be asking for a host and they don't even have an invite to an interview.
Yeah.
So there's no way, as you said, someone will give you their addresses or their phone numbers or some personal information if you're just trying to get. Do you know how many people are trying to get visas right now in Nairobi or any other country? There are so many
Mhm.
people. So if someone was sharing their personal information like that, it would be tricky. But for those
Yeah.
people who are looking for host, talk to people and tell them, hey, do you know anyone who's in America? Anyone? Maybe I'm planning to travel there. And by the time you talk to those people, at least have something, like be at the final stages, not futuristic plans. You're making plans for 2024 and we're in 2023. You've never actually done anything with the process and you're asking about being hosted. I know it's important to make plans earlier, but at least have something to show.
Yeah, and also, one thing I'll say is, I don't know about you, but for me, if I get approached by someone, like a friend, or
Mhm.
a friend to a friend, or somebody like a mutual friend, or somebody,
Yeah.
I'll trust that more than somebody who contacts me on my inbox. And I'm not saying if somebody come to your inbox, they are all liars, but as a human being, you will feel more comfortable giving your information and accepting. But anyway, guys, don't give up. As you can hear Joe's story, he has all the story on his YouTube channel. He has in 2 videos. So if you go to his YouTube channel is Joe Nduti TV. And you guys, make sure you go there, subscribe, and watch his videos. He talks so much into details about a green card, and especially now, yeah, we're expecting the results. He will be talking so much about the green card. If you have a question also about the green card, ask him, right? You are there for the people, right?
I am there for the people, and as you said, information right now is free, and I'm willing to share it with
Yes.
anyone with questions, anyone who needs clarification on certain issues about traveling and green card. I'm definitely. You can shoot me an email. You can ask on the comments. Sometimes the comments might be so many. The email is joendutitv@gmail. I usually respond to my emails, or I speak on them on a post or a publication. So definitely, I'm here for you. And Betty, thank you for definitely leading the way. I've been watching your videos a lot, and before
Yeah.
when I started creating content, I was like, I just want to have that courage to be able to talk about issues, real issues, because people rarely delve into real issues with this content thing. So it's not a game; it's reality. Just pick the information that can help you, and all the best in your process. And Betty, thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. And
Mm,
guys, when we share these stories, we are not trying to tarnish anybody's name or anything like that.
mm,
Because some people they can watch the videos. There are haters out there, and they'll be like, "Oh, so what? You know, uh, what is your end goal with this? Where are you going with this?" They'll think you're sharing because you want to unataka kuharibia tu watu jina, but
mm.
it's not that. People want, this is like an encouragement. Take this video and Joe's story as an encouragement. This is a story of hope that when you're going through this difficult moment and this dark tunnel, there is always some light at the end of the tunnel. So his story is supposed to encourage you and give hope to the people who are, because these are things that are happening in in our lives, and people are going through this. So thank you so much for sharing. May God bless you, and thank you our viewers for watching, and take care. Make sure you go to Joe's video. I will link his YouTube channel on the description box below. And yeah, God bless you. And when you go to his channel, don't forget to say you are coming from Betty AZ YouTube channel. Take care, guys, and God bless. Ciao.
Right.
I'm gonna I end the video in a minute.